Hello there. Welcome to a brand new podcast, Weather Patterns to Physical Risk Swaps. I'm David Kelly, your host. Today, we're diving into how weather affects our financial world, the exact topic of my new book with the same title, published in April 2025. So what is this all about? Well, extreme weather is hitting our financial systems hard. Let me share some eye-opening numbers. In the US, property markets are worth about $52.5 trillion, with $13.6 trillion in outstanding mortgage debt. That's quite a number. And here's the problem. And for once, it's not dubious lending criteria of 2008. This is the new evolving risk of flood. In 2024, exactly 42% of coastal insurers simply left Florida and the Carolinas. They walked away. This left about, dare I say it, $4.2 trillion in mortgaged homes with no insurance protection. And it's happening fast. In some areas, flood insurance costs are jumping up by precisely 58% each year. Many homeowners simply can't afford that. The UK faces similar challenges. About 6.3 million properties in England are at risk of flooding now, according to the National Assessment of Flood Risk. By mid-century, that could grow to 8 million, roughly 1 in 4 homes. And homes in high-risk flood zones already sell for about 8.14% less than similar properties without flood risk. In very high-risk areas, that discount jumps to a eye-watering 31.3%. So here's the core problem. It's what we call the mortgage lender's dilemma. Let me explain this important concept. Banks write mortgages for 30 years, but insurance policies only last for 1 year. This is what we call a maturity mismatch in finance. It means there is a dangerous gap between long-term commitments and short-term protections. Because of this mismatch, insurers can, and do, pull out of risky markets, leaving banks stuck with long-term loans on homes that might become nearly worthless. So this isn't just an environmental issue. It's a major financial risk that threatens our banking and property systems worldwide. So a bit about me. I'm David Kelly, author of the book we will be exploring. I spent 30 years in investment banking, working in leadership roles in the front office and risk departments at global Tier 1 banks. I specialize in implementing advanced modeling solutions for capital requirements under evolving regulatory frameworks. I'm also co-founder and chief science officer of MKM Research Labs. We've just launched in January 2025. Our company develops open source solutions for finance, especially focusing on physical risk. My co-founders are Johnny Matamore and Fear McGovern. Though our company is new, our team brings decades of experience. Johnny, our CEO, has over 35 years in financial services. He started as a mathematician and markets economist on major trading floors before moving into hedge funds and asset management. Virgil rounds off our founding team with 20 plus years of banking technology experience. Our mission at MKM is simple. We create and share free, open source solutions for finance, particularly for physical risk. As we put it ourselves, we are not in the weather prediction business. Rather, we quantify banking risk by modeling the probability distributions of extreme but plausible weather events that trigger floods. We focus on assigning accurate probabilities and banking impact severities to these tail events, enabling banks to assess their exposure to hazard-related risks properly. So what makes our approach special is how we apply capital markets technology to physical risk. We're moving beyond simple disclosure reporting to actual portfolio risk management. This leads to physical risk transfer that can reduce capital through effective hedges. Johnny and I first conceived the physical risk swap in LinkedIn post in November 2023. We described it as a capital market equivalent of parametric insurance, unquote. We've been developing it since then with a beta version of the physical risk swap CDM, or common domain model, presented to the FINOS CDM working group just recently in February 2025. Johnny describes the invention of the PRS as cheerily ambitious. It not only transforms the world of physical risk into a tradable asset, but it is predicated on the ambition of creating an open source architectural framework for the entire banking ecosystem, unquote. I like to call our approach elegant, partly because I'm a mathematician, but also because it combines existing financial technologies with advanced meteorological science and data models in a typical model stack. By standardizing flood and hazard risk data by implementing the FINOS CDM, or common domain model, we're creating a framework where physical risk can be accurately assessed, priced, and transferred between parties. This matters beyond just banking. Our approach could help keep mortgages and insurance available in flood-prone areas. This protects property values and homeowners' financial security worldwide. It could also encourage investment in flood protection. If we can accurately price flood risk, then investments in flood defenses can be valued based on how much they reduce expected losses. This creates a direct financial incentive to adapt to changing conditions. In this podcast series, we'll break down the complex parts of the MKM framework. We'll explore how weather predictions connect to water flow models, flood monitoring, and ultimately to financial outcomes. And we'll discuss what this means for the banks, the insurance companies, property owners, and, dare I say it, the regulators. I promise to try to make this series accessible without oversimplifying. I'll bring in experts from both finance and the environmental fields, including some of the minds behind the physical risk swap concept. On a side note, you can download the book for free from the MKM Research Lab's website, or ZLib. It's a great companion to this series, but don't worry, I'll cover all the essential points here. So whether you're working in banking, insurance, own a property, or just curious about how weather is reshaping finance, this series has something valuable for you. So join me next time as we begin exploring the MKM framework for physical risk management. Thanks for listening to the Weather Patterns to Physical Risk Swaps podcast.